honest, sure, they were supposed to be amazing from the start, but let's be honest. When you bring in so many new players, you're never gonna have a world class start. It's just too difficult. Chelsea going up against a amazing offensive team with a defense that isn't necessarily that phenomenal. Terry's a solid defender. Cahill is solid as well. Felipe Luis, when he plays, is pretty decent. You've got Felipe Luis is great. No, but let me rephrase that. Felipe Luis is pretty good. Pretty good. But of course, they like Azpilicueta. I think that defense is in jeopardy when you're going up against. Here's the X factor. His name is Cristiano Ronaldo, the guy who scored 10 goals in the first 6 games for Real Madrid and leads the table by a good margin. He already has 10 goals in La Liga. Already has 10 goals. Nobody is putting up those kinds of numbers. Not even Diego Costa. It's going to be hard. And then they have Gareth Bale. They have so much attacking power. That game, that matchup will be all offense all the time. And that plays well into Real Madrid's hands. Real Madrid doesn't want a good defensive team. A good defensive team will be hard for them, seeing as they're not really great, especially a team that can play well defensively and then attack pretty well. But if they go up against a good defensive team, it's much harder for this team than I think a good offensive team. I think that this will be a high-scoring matchup. I think this would be a lot of fun in a championship game. Unlike, I think Atletico and Real was a sensational game, but at times it was really defensive. I think Chelsea and Real Madrid is one of those prototypical shootouts. I still got to go with Real Madrid, though, because I think it's a little early to judge them. And once again, if we're going based off of how they played of late, 14-3 outscoring opponents, in my opinion, is a pretty good scoreline.
No, well, you just talked about Cristiano Ronaldo. Let's talk about him some more. Now, I'd like to say Noah's really biased when he writes the script, but Noah's teams are like kind of the most important ones, or at least the ones that find themselves into headlines the most often. Combine two of the world's most popular and valuable franchises and the world's most popular and possibly most talented soccer player, depending on who you ask,
I mean, 10 goals.
You have a super, mega, ultra headline. And it all involves Noah's favorite teams and players. Let's talk about them. Cristiano Ronaldo. Yes, right now he is with Real Madrid, but it's a real possibility that he could be headed to Manchester United.
His return.
Because, of course, Manchester United would. What do you think? First of all, Noah pointed out to me that some Manchester United fans paid for a plane, because of course they did, to fly over Real Madrid's stadium.
Santiago Bernabeu. Yes.
Santiago Bernabeu. That said, well, what did it say? Come to Ronaldo.
Come home, Ronaldo.
Come to home. Ronaldo, Man U is not correct. Come to Man U, Ronaldo.
Come home, Ronaldo.
Come home, Ronaldo. Is he coming home? No, what do you think? There's two questions here. It's, do you think he'll come home? And do you think that it's good for... Which team does he fit better with?
I think it's past that, just I think also how the teams will benefit. I'll start with this. Is he coming home? Not right now. Summer at the earliest. It wouldn't happen right now, but he definitely could come home. He loved playing at Manchester United before. Of course, got a Champions League with Tevez and Rooney. And he had a good time there. That's where really he built his legacy there, I guess you could say. The beginning of Cristiano Ronaldo. You could count Lisbon, I guess, but let's be honest, it was Manchester United. But I don't know. I think a lot of it depends on how Real Madrid plays this year. Sure, he hasn't liked the sales that have happened. The sale of Arjen Robben, definitely, he did not like. After coming in, expecting to play with Arjen Robben, and then Arjen Robben gets sold to Bayern Munich. You wouldn't feel great about that. Di Maria, of course, being sold. I didn't like that. Personally, I think Di Maria and Hazard and, of course, Toure, I think those are the 3 best midfielders in the Premier League. I think it's a big mistake that they sold Di Maria. Even if I love James Rodriguez, I think Di Maria is better at this point in time. I think if they can win a Champions League, I do not see him leaving. Really, do you really think Ronaldo would leave after winning? It's hard to argue with transfers if they result in a Champions League. Now, whether it would benefit Manchester United, I'm sorry. Unless Ronaldo can play center back, really, I do not see how this helps them that much. They can score. We already see that. They have Falcao, they have Van Persie, they have Rooney, they've got Di Maria, they've got Ander Herrera, they have Juan Mata on their bench. They have so much right now. They got Antonio Valencia. The list goes on and on. But do they really need Ronaldo? You know what? Last I checked, the problem wasn't offense. Meanwhile, you could buy, 5 Mats Hummels for the price they would have to buy Ronaldo for. You could buy Hummels. You could get the double, bring in Ogbonna and Vidal from Juventus. And then have leftovers for, maybe not Strootman, probably not Strootman, but leftovers for somebody to improve that team. And it's a lot better of a team. You put Hummels in there. You've got Hummels, Rojo, Shaw, who is only going to get better, Rafael, who's played great so far. You'd have Vidal in the midfield, along with Blind. You would have Di Maria there as well. You'd have Rooney. You would have Falcao. You'd have Van Persie, assuming they do buy Falcao, which I think at the end of the day they will. That is a great... That's a great team. You don't have many holes in that team. Meanwhile, you buy Ronaldo, you still have a center-back issue. You still have defensive issues. And you've seen how many injuries they've had. They need depth. Bringing in Ogbonna, bringing in Hummels would give them depth. Ronaldo's not worth it. It doesn't make sense. Meanwhile, Real Madrid would be bathing in cash where they could spend it on more good players, a better defense. And I personally, though they would lose Ronaldo, I think Real Madrid would benefit more from it. I think Real Madrid would end up the better of the two sides. Jake, I've been talking for a little bit. What do you think?
You know, I'm thinking about how I answer this question. And you realize there's such a similar situation. It could almost mirror what we saw in basketball with LeBron James. Ronaldo. Great team. Powers together. He leads it. If they indeed lose to Chelsea in the Champions League final, he comes up just short in the final. There's the intrigue of perhaps coming home, even though there's a new coach there. And in the end, he can't escape it. Could he go back to Manchester United? I think it really revolves around whether or not Real Madrid can win the Champions League and or the La Liga. If that does not happen, he could go back to Manchester United. I think it would be Manchester United. I don't think it would make sense for them, to be perfectly honest, because as Noah said, scoring is not their problem. Underwear models, maybe they're lacking that, and Cristiano Ronaldo fill that hole.
You're right, they are lacking in underwear models.
Right?
That's a problem. That's a problem. No wonder they're not winning. Oh.
It
all makes sense. It all makes sense now.
You know who would not be an underwear model? Thomas Tuchel. Does not wear underwear, as we sadly learned. Again, another spoiler for own goals. Stick around for that, but stick around for my argument, which is continuing as we speak. Cristiano Ronaldo, I think, does return to Manchester United. But what's really intriguing about this is how will Cristiano Ronaldo and Louis van Gaal mesh?
Oh, that'll be fine.
Such an intriguing prospect.
They'll be good friends. I would actually...
That would be either the worst thing
that
has happened since Donald Sterling and the Clippers.
I don't think so. I don't think so, man. I mean, he had Arjen Robben on his team. And Arjen Robben...
Right.
He knows...
Or
Not to mention, Mourinho and Van Gaal are very similar kinds of guys, I guess, in the way they're both very egotistical. They're both very dictator. It's my team. I control what happens. They both behave similarly. And I think at the end of the day, when you have a guy of Ronaldo's level, who's one of the... Robin, of course, you can get a little more irritated with, but when you have a guy of Ronaldo's level, a lot of the time, coaches, even if they don't like it, they put up with it because it's Ronaldo. That's what happens. And really, Ronaldo actually is one of the... What's funny is a lot of people, they always show the bad side of Ronaldo, but Ronaldo's actually been one of the nicer guys on Real Madrid. He's the guy who wants people to stay. He's the guy who actually wanted James to come to Real Madrid too as well. He's the guy who invites James in during practice sessions. He pointed at him over there, and that's all they show. But if you show the full clip, they get along fine. Ronaldo, despite all the egotistical comments he gets, he is the least he is the lesser of him and Messi, considering Pep Guardiola came out and said, I just couldn't deal with Messi anymore. There's a big difference.
Well, he also couldn't deal with a handshake with an all-star exhibition game.
Well, there's a difference. Here's the thing. Guardiola's really competitive. Messi's really competitive. They just didn't get along well. And then he goes to a German team. German team's much more disciplined. You know what? No, going back to the underwear model problem, that's a serious issue that Manchester United's going to have to take care of.
That is a very serious issue. What was I going to say? Again, though, look, that's another LeBron similarity. I think that maybe back here stateside would be able to possibly relate to that. What else?
Right. The difference
so
is...
At the end of the day, my final prediction is that Cristiano Ronaldo, the coming summer, will return to England, but there's a twist. He'll return with a teammate of Real Madrid, and there will be a homecoming. Cristiano Ronaldo joins Gareth Bale's homecoming.
No,
Tottenham Hotspur.
Okay, Jake, that won't happen though, right?
No, that definitely would not happen. Not even in my dreams. Manchester United, I think, is where he ends up because I think that it doesn't quite work out in the Champions League.
Here's what I have to say. There are times that Manchester United has gone out and bought for the sake of buying, but you have to remember one thing. Their coach now is Louis van Gaal. He's a dictator, and he does not take no for an answer. This is his team to run. And at the end of the day, Louis van Gaal says no to Ronaldo because he knows what he has to improve. He likes Ronaldo. Obviously, everybody would love to have Ronaldo. But his top two needs are defense. It's defense. And that's where he goes. Ronaldo stays at Madrid. He finishes his career at Manchester United, but not this year. Not next year. It's just not time quite yet. But Ronaldo, if you come back, I will open my arms to you because you're still my favorite player. So, yeah. Sentimental moments.
Well, let's continue on now. Next question. One of the last two before the own goal segment. We'll go back to England right now. I don't think this is going to go very long. I'll be surprised if there's any disagreement here. Who has been the best team in the Premier League so far? I'll start. Have you seen Chelsea lately? No, you haven't. It's last episode aired last month.
Oh, come on, Jake, the pun. I knew that pun was coming.
If you have seen Chelsea, the soccer team, play lately, then you will know that they are the best team right now in the Premier League, or at least they've played the best. You will look at the tables. You don't have to watch a single game. You can look at the tables and you can see that they are number one right now, and that's not a coincidence. It's because they've won games, and because of the way they've played. You know, when you make a big splash, it's a dream scenario when all of your new pieces fit together perfectly like a puzzle. And who's the puzzle master here? Jose Mourinho. Look at the way Diego Costa has been playing. Oh, beautiful. Bronislav Ivanovic, great defender. Cesc Fabregas, he's cooled down a little bit. You could change that for my fantasy teams, please. But he still is a solid player. You look at even smaller bits and pieces that they brought in. Loic Remy scored a goal. late in the game 2 weeks ago, I believe. It's the little things